Chronicle of the Crown, session 11. So last time we ended with the decision to journey to Riathil, which is Cameron Redwin's birthplace. And it is in the Riverlands, which is most of the human princedoms and kingdoms and city-states are in the Riverlands, the sort of middle part of this area of the world. And we are doing so in the company of Thrallan and several of his, shall we say, excavation cohorts. They have been digging in a site of apparently elven origin from earlier ages of the world, digging for anything really that they can find relating to the elves that once were there. And they've apparently been doing a fair bit of business, digging up these relics, remnants, whatever they can from the ground, and bringing them to Riathil, because the Covenant of the First Flame, the premier sort of spiritual tendency and organization in the human sphere of influence currently, holds its, has its sort of headquarters in Riathil, which is both the name of this sort of domain and also the city itself, the capital of the domain. And the Covenant of the First Flame is offering more or less a finder's fee, like a bounty on anything that is old. So sort of like a very open offer on amateur archaeology, really, is what they're putting out there. They're paying for old things, and Thrallan sort of insinuated that they had paid extra bits for things that look like, you know, diadems or any kind of like headband type. And so our heroes had a long conversation amongst themselves, as well as with Thrallan and his cohorts, and it was decided to go to Riathil. Primarily of interest is the recovery of one supposes elven artifacts of actual mystical potency, the ones that have been imbued with the songs of the elves, not so much the butter knives and the goblets necessarily, but anything that has the magic of the elves in it. It was deemed that this would be an interest of interest to go to Riathil and take any of these items that they can from the Covenant of the First Flame. And so we sorry, been talking a lot today. So we know who the sort of bounty paymasters are. You got the names, Anaver and Brelwas last time, and you're traveling with Thrallan and his friends, so which comprise of people of two distinct stocks. There are humans and there are dwarves in this particular group of excavationists, and we are traveling by river, as is often the case in the human lands. This is a smaller tributary to the Great River, so it's not the big one, but this sort of melds into the big one later downstream. So this is the boat that Thrallan and his friends use to transport their goods to Riathil. Now, it is winter, so while the river, having a fair amount of current in it, isn't completely frozen, it is getting colder all the time. So as you get on the boat, you go down the river, you also are sort of, it is suggested to you that you help break the ice in front of the boat occasionally with axes that they have for this.
Yeah, I mean, purpose. I'll quite happily pitch in with that, you know, help out my dwarven brethren, probably like Again, glad to see, humans and dwarves working together, reforging the ancient ties, even if it's just breaking some ice. Yeah, I'll happily join him.
So it's sweaty work, it's uncomfortable work oftentimes, but you make do. It takes only a couple of days. You're going by a river, so it's fairly easy going. The ice is the only problem, really. And you eventually do arrive in Riathil. Now, Cameron, have you told your companions anything about your home city?
I will try to have educated them upon the journey as best I can for what they'll expect. I believe Tyrell's told me that he's never been before to a human city of this magnitude, so I'll try and help him blend in a little bit, as such as possible.
Blending in won't be an issue, but getting around.
I do believe there is a council, or is there a monarchy there at the moment, or?
There was the last time.
Yeah. But the church is the real power there. It was sort of counterbalanced for a time by the school. But I think since my last time there, that has changed.
But by any chance, did some sort of mysterious figure suddenly really start, like, bigging up the church?
I don't know. I've been very busy with helping the Dark Watchers in their current problems.
Well, I'm sure Cameron, having known me for some time, and obviously Tyrion will be aware of this, I'm sure you're all aware of how obnoxiously loud I am. So, like, if we're planning for some, like, stealthy, like, oh, let's just QT, like, sneak into the city, that's not really, like, Glave's vibe. I'm more sort of, like, strolling down the streets, loudly commenting on everything and talking about stuff.
At the moment, we're entering the city simply as travelers to do a job. We're not lying about anything currently. So we're not trying to not be seen currently. That will come later. And probably will not involve you, Glarbeer.
Unwanted attention rather than...
Yeah. I mean, I'm hooded at the moment. I'm not trying to draw extra attention to the fact that I'm clearly an elf,
I believe we're going to...
I was going to say, to be fair, one of the advantages of the fact we're travelling with a group of dwarf and human archaeologists is, like, I would just seem to be one more, like, blustering loud dwarf amongst other dwarves.
Exactly. And if I'm hooded and Cameron is, Cameron actually probably will draw them more attention than either Glarveer or Terrail at this point because of his eyes and potentially his visage, given what he told us
the
last time.
Maybe his appearance might be well known in the city.
In fact, actually, before we reach the gates and enter, and I might just kind of lean into, Cameron and whisper in his ear, now, Cameron, are you sure that you're not going to be recognized as soon as we pass through these lovely gates?
I cannot promise you that, fortunately.
I see. Should we do something to your face then? Maybe muss it up a bit. I could... as they say, those fisticuffs the humans like. What's that? What is that sport, that blood sport you all seem to love?
Oh, gardening.
Yes, gardening. Of course, that's exactly what I meant.
I appreciate the offer for helping me masquerade myself. But
it's no trouble. It's no trouble. Again, I'm a master of
the strength of your.
Well, suit yourself. I would rather see your head stay attached, even if your face is a bit, bruised.
The best thing we can do is avoid the main churches of the Flame for the moment. I believe if we stick to the dwarven areas, we should be okay.
I cannot promise that. We do have to speak with these Paymasters to see if we can gain any information before we attempt to perform a little act of larceny.
I am aware. We'll just have to see where the leaves fall. In this regard, I did warn you that this could be an issue, so we will just have to see.
You have been paying attention. Where the leaves fall, isn't that so quaint? I haven't heard that in ages. Yes, please lead on. You are our guide, after all.
So,
take them to the gate.
With Cameron having talked to you, you've learned that Briathil is also known as the River Garden and the City of Bridges, and that both of these become fairly sort of self-explanatory to you when you get close to the city itself. So it's built on the actual river itself. There's a couple slight sort of island bits in the river, which are a part of it, but it's built directly on the river, and it is surrounded by extensive water engineering to support fields directly outside the city, as well as several grand gardens sort of inside the city proper, as well as parks inside the city. You note this massive, tall tower in like well before anything else is discernible about the silhouette of the city. You can see the looming shadow of the Tower of Wisdom, which is the school referred to by Cameron. And it is the tallest and the widest building in the widest tower in the city. It is also dotted with other smaller tower-like structures. They're all basically circular in shape, a rather sort of different aesthetic to the Tower of Wisdom itself, perhaps a later construction. These there are numerous bridges that cross the water, as well as connect buildings inside this city on the river, in the air above the streets. So it's almost like a multi-tiered city in that way, that there are a lot of walkways and bridges spanning the air.
I'll probably sort of look around approvingly, taking in like the architecture and stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not up to Dwarven standards, of course, but but they've done a pretty good job, and I'll be sort of in my normal bombastic way. I'll be pointing out some of the areas I think are particularly good. Like they've decorated like the arches of that bridge there, and look at the stone they've used here, and general conversation as we like moving through.
And when you get closer, you know that there are several. At first, you think, Cameron, like, oh, has something happened? Is the city burning? Because there's smoke coming, and then you realize, oh, there's a couple, you think, park areas, or maybe grand gardens that have been put to different use now. They've been cleared, and there are massive honking braziers with big fires burning.
That's new.
Yeah, it is. That is very much a new thing to you, and you hear once again. This is something that you may or may not have picked or remembered from having discussed with your fellows here by the reflecting pool. It's the same voice that was calling to you from the reflecting pool, and it says, "The garden is burning, Cameron."
Shit. Oh boy. I sort of look around thinking, well, I hope we made the right decision coming here. It certainly feels a little more industrial than I last recall. It has such beautiful gardens.
Well, changes the way of things, Cameron. Certainly for your people, anyway.
Somebody, and I'm not going to volunteer myself, should teach these humans how to build their cities with their nature in mind.
Well, it used to be a bit more in concert with each other. This is new. But as you can see, as I've long claimed, we have great works of architecture here.
And
so
be honest, like they rather do. Like some of this stuff is if you were into that sort of thing, which is, I guess it's more for us as players, really, because we don't really have architects in the group here. But for us players here, this has the same kind of touches to the architecture and the grandiose nature of it, as we saw in the haunted tomb city of Dol Siriath.
I would like, as we're sort of like making our way through or whatever, obviously I know a bit about stone. if I see like a bridge that
thing.
looks particularly old, I'm just gonna like put my hand to it, and I'm just gonna try and use my my stone talking just to determine how old it is, basically.
Yep.
Just so I can get some rough idea of like how long this city's been here.
And I presume you have the obstacle thing open there for the.
It's just one for like the basic age.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it one or two? But yeah, it's the one.
Okay, so I'm not spending any author on it.
There we go. You feel like this has been here for possibly 15 centuries. You feel the weight of an age on it. It is, you think, probably older than most of the bits around here. Possibly some of the first construction that they put down here.
So I think I'll sort of like lean my head up against one of these stones as I'm sort of like thinking that, and I'll look back and in a slightly sort of jovial, mischievous voice I say, well, there's definitely some old, ancient, historical stonework here. I dare say some of this is even older than you, Terrell.
Quite possible.
Well, then I'm gratified to know that we are in such an illustrious human burg.
Indeed, if I didn't know better, I'd suspect they had dwarven help building it.
It does seem to be well put together compared to some of the other cities that they've built lately.
Historically, yes, we had good relationships with dwarves, but.
And you will do again if I have anything to say about it, Cameron Redwin.
From the back of the boat, I suppose, you hear Thrallin go, anyway, here's the warehouse, and you put to dock. As I said, the city is built on the river, so you can basically take your little boat straight in, and you stop at the sort of dock area, and they start offloading. They've got some crates, they've got some sacks. And they start working on it, and it's like, so Thrallin says, so we talked about this supposed king you're going to have, and we'll get to that when we get to that, but we promised you a fair day's wage for a fair day's work. We're not going to be heading out, of course, until the next season, so there's not here for you on my coin anyway. So if you're around here for the next season, or this king of yours turns up, or we, figure out we're gonna go north meet him, I suppose we'll bid you fair weather. And here's your coin. So he gives you like a sort of a small pouch of silver.
Now, does this count as a? Where is that on the sheet here? There's a temporary wealth stat, is there not?
Yeah, that's your cash die. So
where's that one here?
Whoever takes that, it's handed to Glarvir by default. But
sure,
Glarvir, you can mark down
fine.
1d.
I'm just sort of kind of looking around the city at the moment.
Oh, here it is.
Just taking it in. Like,
So
I
you can mark
imagine,
down
like,
1d cash die.
Where is that located?
I think you just put it down wherever you have your stuff.
It's in attributes, actually. There's a section, if you go to attributes and then you look down
cash.
under the... Yeah, exactly. Just put 1D and then maybe any notes you want to put on it, basically.
Nice.
Ah,
what time of day
that's
is
fancy.
it?
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. I knew it was on there. I just couldn't remember exactly where, so I had to look.
Did not remember. Good call.
Yeah.
Yep. So Matthew,
What time of day is it right now in this universe?
let me give a roll.
It's 5:30.
Lower, it's evening. Higher, it's high. It's high noon.
I knew. So I just kind of imagine right now that I'm sort of looking. You see all these like kind of smokestacks that are going on, like smoke. Like
They're not smokestacks. They're giant
braziers.
braziers burning.
Yeah. So I can imagine the smoke's kind of drifting in the end. It's kind of make the sun's burning a little bit as I'm staring off, and I'm kind of, this gives me a disquieted feeling.
Now, I don't want to jump to conclusions about the level of power that the your Church of the Flame has in this city, but I kind of noticed there's an awful lot of large burning braziers about Cameron.
I too have picked up on this change, that they were not there, at least not in the quantity, back when I was last here.
It appears they may have sunk their fiery talons deeper into this city than we had originally surmised. Perhaps your destiny awaits you, Cameron.
I thought from your perspective it always awaits one.
Indeed. As I've said before, the only variables are whether you embrace it or whether you struggle against it.
Whether you embrace it or you're ground to dust by it, I suppose.
Wheelmaster, the dwarven head of the expedition was Thrandal?
Thrallan, I'll put that in chat.
Thrallan, sorry.
Yep.
I would like to approach Thrallan briefly after he's exchanged the currency, and as Glarvir and Cameron are having that little exchange. I just want to lean down and say to him, Thrallan, I was wondering if you could arrange an introduction between myself and your Paymasters, the ones who have sent you to acquire the artifacts and who give you your coin when you have done so.
Sure. You won't have any use for them, though, for another season, though, so...
Perhaps they might have use of me and my particular skills.
Well, lads, it looks like we need to get us one of these for next season. If we can extend the season into the winter. He leans closer. Can you actually do that? I will pay you very nicely if you can, I don't know, sing away the ice and the snow. We're talking big silver.
I shall contemplate it.
So that's a yes then.
Perhaps we can discuss it further over some wine and ale.
Right. Good friends we've made on the way.
Yes, in our random encounter that we stride off to the side because we rolled dice badly. Yes, but if Thrallan would arrange that introduction, that would be lovely. I would like to meet these gentlemen.
Yep.
And
that is certainly something he is willing to do, especially since you're sort of insinuating that you could be in business in the winter as well, and he's big into business.
Yeah, no, I didn't lie to the guy.
Yeah, no.
Who knows?
No,
maybe I'll be coming back this way near winter, and then I'll need something to do.
I was gonna look something up in the book, but I forgot what I was looking for.
Actually, there is a weather song, if I'm not mistaken, isn't there? Last I checked.
Possibly. I don't.
I don't know. I don't know if it can like just sing away ice and snow, but. I don't have unfortunately, I just don't have my book handy because I'm on the wrong machine. So.
So, you're making plans with Thrallan and all that. Glarvir, Cameron, any what's your plans here?
So then, Cameron, you're the expert on this place. So is there any place you'd recommend we start? Obviously, as I'm keen to see if my old associate John Drill is still in Rearthil, but of course I can see Terrell's busy talking to Thrallan. Obviously, I don't want to interfere with our primary objective, but I would very much like to see if I can track down my old acquaintance.
Well, instinct, I always like to go to the tower and peruse the books there and the things, but that's probably a very bad idea right now.
I'm pretty sure we won't find John Drill in a tower consulting occult tomes. I know it's been a while, but people don't change that much. Perhaps we could, if you think your tower is not safe enough, Now we've got a little bit of coin. You know, we need to think what our next move is going to be. Obviously, whatever Terrell's doing, or if he's trying to get us an audience with the Paymasters, that'll probably take a little time to arrange. Maybe we should attempt to find my old friend who's in the hospitality business, and we can settle down, maybe imbibe a little light repast, and consider our next move while we wait for.
We could use a place to set up camp for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a feel for what's going on. As I again glance at the large braziers, puff it out.
Indeed, and if while we're getting a feel for what's going on, a flagon or two of ale should happen to fall into my open mouth, well, where's the harm?
Well, if we're staying with a brewmaster, I guess that seems.
Assuming John Drill's still here, like I say, I know he was heading for Rearfield, but that was some time ago. Like I say, he may not still be here, but given his notable skill, I'm sure he'll have.
The city has a small but, appreciated dwarf population, so it's more than likely that he made his way here.
Is there a dwarf burg or district?
I don't know if we call it a district, but definitely there is. They congregate together. I think they enjoy each other's company and the.
Well, yes, of course we do.
And good stonework.
I'll approach at this stage.
You're saying me saying this as you come up. Yeah, you've met me, Cameron. How can we not enjoy each other's company?
Well, dwarves are very boisterous people.
That's because we're full of a great love of life, Terrell.
I love life. Life loves me. I mean, it's a merry decree, even. Now,
Cameron?
So I would direct Glavia to one of the older parts of the city, and I'll sort of talk to him about the from what I remember, it's been a while myself, they congregate towards some of the older, less fanciful stonework in a sense there. In recent years they've gotten a bit more, as you can see.
A bit more utilitarian. I can see the changes.
Oh.
I think that there's a small portion of the city that's also underground that they have utilized, but I've never been. I've always stuck to my work really, and not really.
So did I
hear right with my lovely ears that you're going to secure lodgings for ourselves, and of course try to reach out to your companion or your former companion. What was it, Drandrell?
John Drell.
Dranagini?
John Drell.
John Drell, yes. Yes,
I
yes.
do
John
want to
Drell.
find if there's a Dark Watcher.
Well,
if there's any in the city, or if at least there's a holding somewhere for them. There should be, but whether they've remained here in recent times, I don't know.
Well, from what I know,
I shall.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Take my leave of the two of you for now. Thrallin.
Thrallin, you've got to get the hang of these dwarven names, Terrell.
I've been working on your coarse language. It's challenging with a tongue like mine.
There's one of the sort of stevedores like, "What are you calling coarse?" Pointy ears.
Well, you, my fine friend.
I'll show you coarse.
Perhaps over some.
That's what I meant.
Anyway. They do love to interrupt. Is that all of your people? You don't know the etiquette of conversation, Glavia. Anyway.
What do you mean we don't know the etiquette of conversation?
I shall take my leave. I'm going to go with Thrallin and meet these Paymasters. Perhaps the two of you can see to this other business, and we shall meet up later. Do you have a particular tavern or inn in mind, Cameron?
Well, I tell you what. Since we don't know,
place we can meet.
Well, we don't know where John Drill is going to be. We're going to have to look around for him for a little bit.
Of course.
Why don't we? How long do you think you're going to take? And we can say maybe I don't know. Maybe meet you back here in a couple of hours or something like that, and then we can lead you to wherever we've booked lodgings.
That sounds acceptable.
Right.
Will you be able to find Drondrill in only a couple of hours?
Yes, I'll follow the scent of ale. I'm sure I'll track him
The scent
down
of the
eventually.
finest ale, I imagine. You've
Indeed.
built him up now. I expect nothing but the best from this fellow of yours.
Indeed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to big myself up, so to speak. I mean, I'm no master brewer, but I make a pretty fine ale. But
It was delicious, and I prefer something a little bit more fruity.
Well,
shall we
yeah,
say?
so less said about that, the better.
Versus the hop, but yes,
yeah. So I make a damn fine ale, but John Drill puts me to
Was enjoyable.
absolute shame. Everything
Well,
I know
I look
about
forward-
ale, I learnt off John Drill.
Then I shall look forward to imbibing this ale with the two of you later this evening. But for now,
Aye.
let me go and find these paymasters and see what we can see.
2 hours in this very spot, then, Terrell. Be well.
Tyrell, just
I stride off
to be.
towards Thrallin.
I'll say to Glavier, I'll just say he does that a lot. He needs to be careful. The eyes of the church burn brightest here. You'll no doubt.
Terrell, be careful! The eyes of the church burn brightest here!
Yes, I know, Glavier. Just announce it to the whole city next time. As I fade away into where Thrallin is.
I completely missed the sarcasm. I'm like, there we go, job done. Now let's get on the hunt, Cameron, and I'll clap him on the back.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll take him to, I said, to an older part of the city where, from what I recall, is where not all the dwarves, obviously, but where the largest gathering.
Dwarf Town.
Yeah. Kind of like the stonework. They prefer the stone here for some reason.
So what's it called then? Like this is the historic dwarf part of the city. Like what is it called?
Ooh.
And Glover can pitch in here as well because
Yeah,
I thought we established this already. It's Dwarf Town.
I want John to give me a dwarven word for well. Well.
the pre-beer liquid container.
Like a mine well. Oh, sorry. Yeah, like a drinking well. Yeah, I meant that.
Right. I think this dwarf place should be named as follows. There we go.
So is that D going to be the J? I'm sorry, is that J going to be silent then? So it would be Der Grog?
Yep.
Got it.
Der
Sorry,
Grog.
when people just throw in these random J's and I'm like, that's a silent J, right? Okay, yeah, all right. And this is,
Yeah, and Bob.
Thanks, common
Yeah.
to dwarven translator.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I wonder if they've got a Tolkien one, because that's the D&D one.
So yeah, famously, in the early days of the city, apparently, like the dwarfs built this like really nice well that brought some water into the city, like clean water. And they used it, and they just kind of gathered, as names do, became their thing.
Yeah, we'll stick with Der Grog then.
Ugh, Rod.
Yeah. So that's where you're headed. One supposes.
Do I also, while we're on the way, do I have to make a circles roll to actually establish if there's any Dark Watchers in the city right now?
Yeah. If you want to create a Dark Watcher, just tell me what kind it is.
I would like to do that at some point.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to rolling when you do.
Okay, so pretty much my plan to locate John Drill is basically hit up a couple of taverns, buy like a couple of cheap drinks using a little bit of the silver we've got. Ask around local dwarves, be like, oh yeah, I'm looking, buy a few people like some drinks. Oh, I'm looking for an old friend of mine settled around here. Bit of a Bruce Smith, who went by the name John Drill. We've not seen each other for ages. hoping to reconnect again. Heard he was maybe in this area. Mean anything to you? You know if you tasted his ales. General banter with dwarves. Also, probably trying to get Cameron drunk while we're doing it. Because why not?
Cameron, do you partake?
I'll have a couple of drinks with him because this place is
Dwarf
making
drinks.
Cameron nervous. Like it being back feels very strange to him. Did not expect to come back so soon.
That's all right, Cameron. A couple of dwarf drinks is all it takes.
He's helping taking the edge off.
So yeah, you rolled it for this before, so that's fine. We know that you succeeded, so this is successful. And through your bar hopping, you eventually end up outside an establishment, which has like a clever dwarven wordplay on, like, as a decorative element on the little sign outside, but in the local tongue, it says the guild, and it has like a mug on it.
Yeah.
I like to think when I see the dwarven bit, I'll probably like burst out laughing like really loudly and be like
Yeah.
holding my sides and like pointing at it.
It's some, you know, like, it takes you a bit to get it because it's wordplay, right? And it's basically like it's him shitting on the fact that, like, anyone should tell him what to do, and the fact that he's named his place, his tavern, the guild, is like, well, the shit are you gonna do? Like, I'm the guild now.
Like with some like tears of laughter like streaming down my face as like a no doubt confused Cameron's looking at it. I'll be like, no, it's funny, you see, 'cause you see the way he's put the accents over those letters there. It means guild, but in the dwarven tongue, it could also mean gilded, so something that's fake and made to seem more valuable than it is. So he's saying, in a way, that the guilds are worth nothing. They're just they're made of air. They have no tangible value. No. I can't remember if I told you, but Jondrel was never one for letting anyone tell him what to do. I suppose you might call him a free spirit in your tongue, but he wanted to do his own thing, make his own brews, his way, and that's the way it was going to be. But guilds, whilst they can be good for business, they have certain ways of working. They want you to fill in paperwork. They want you to keep things on the level. They don't like too much experimentation. They only want what's going to be profitable for the guild. And well, that's not like he like when he gets a new idea for a new beverage or a new strain of grain or whatever, he likes to just roll with it.
Silenced by the church.
Don't to the church and silence me.
That's the internet just did, mate.
Right. So yeah, you've been told that there's a fella by the name of Jondrel that operates this place.
Let's try and get in here. Let's see if we can get some rooms for the evening.
Yeah.
My plan's just to strut in and look around, see if I can see Jondrel
I
about.
apologise. I don't quite catch the humour in the title, but it looks.
Yeah,
like
because you can only read the one bit that you can, and it literally says the guild.
It loses a lot in the translation. I don't blame you too much, camera. If you ever manage to master I was saying as we're walking like really loudly. If you ever manage to master the truly transcendent verbiage that is old Caslid, the dwarven tongue, then you'll understand. But I don't begrudge you for not getting it. It loses something in the translation into the common speech.
So you walk into what is basically the sort of mead hall that is combined with a brewery inside, like an open air, not walled off brewery. So he's got big vats and stacks of casks.
I like things I walk in, I'm looking over my shoulder like talking to Cameron, and then because I like smell the hops and everything, I'm like,
ooh,
yeah, yeah. So he's got the thing going like on this side of the establishment, and then he's got the tables over here, and you can see stairs in the back to go up where supposedly the rooms would be. And
my plan is to walk in and just be like, Jondrel, you old hop-soaked rapscallion!
Yeah, he's like stacking casks, and turns around to look, and he's much like some of these other dwarves that you've met recently. He's gone way off the sort of vogue in Lord Brannan when it comes to how they present their facial hair and their hairstyles. He's got a fairly stylized human, well maintained beard, and he hasn't gone for the volume and the big honking braids and all that stuff. He's got like a Van Dyke thing going a little bit. He still has like a big one stack of braid on one side of his head.
Well, he always was a bit of a hipster back in his day.
And the other side of his head is shaved entirely, and he's got like one honking braid coming down here. And he's finishes putting the cask on top. It's like blinks at you for a bit and scratches his cheek, and is like, Is that Garvey?
I'm like, yes, it's me, my old friend. How are you?
The shit are you doing this far away from? Did they throw you out?
No. It's nothing like that. Prince Thraduk sent me out on some trifling mission. I'm sure more just to get me out from underfoot than anything else. Given that I'm a little bit past my prime. But in the course of this mission, we're travelling through Riathel, and I remember you mentioning that it is one possible destination you might be heading for. So I thought, well, while I'm here, I'd ask around, see if anyone had seen you, and here we are. Oh, by the way, forgive me, this tall fellow here is my associate, Cameron Redwin.
Oh,
is he now?
Yes.
Oh,
say,
does he seem to recognize me?
Do you want some of this? And he takes the cask back down, and he just takes an axe from his belt, and just like cracks the top, and picks a like a tankard, and just dips in. And is like, do you want some of this, Glarver?
Well, I'm surprised you even have to ask, old friend. Yes, I don't mind if I do. Thank you. I was.
So he's sort of like, yeah, come on over here. Like, have some of this. Then I'll have a word with you.
I'll be back in a few moments, Cam. Just a bit of catching up, dwarf to dwarf. Back in a few moments, and I'll wander over and.
Dwarven friend, would we be able to request lodgings tonight, if such a thing is possible?
It's like, yes, of course, and waves to. Yeah.
Before the drinking begins.
Yes. We'll sort all that out in a minute, Cameron. Can you indulge me a few minutes to catch up with my old friend?
Of course.
Here?
I just want to get this sorted before the reunion begins.
No, that's the problem of humans, that you have a few drinks and you can't do anything else. We're masters of multitasking.
I got some fine pork chops. And he's just like, we're going this way.
Yeah,
now.
I'm arm around his shoulder like, oh, food as well. Splendid. Let's go.
I'm right here.
Yeah, so John Drill has waved like the person who's at the counter, basically. It's like for the lodgings, so you can deal with that easily. You've got like it's negligible, especially since John Drill is a friend now. So for the moment, there's going to be friend prices.
Yeah, to be honest, if it looked like Cameron was going to sort that out while we were talking, I'd have left the bag of silver with him.
I'm just going to make sure that Tyrell gets a nice room, otherwise he is going to be upset.
Yeah, that's fine. You arrange for an elf-sized room, which is to say, like you fit.
One that
you
catches
go
like
in.
the morning sun or something like that.
Give me your fruitiest suite.
Yeah.
The one by the garden.
I'll get the one under the stairs. I'll go full wizard.
Yeah. So, when you go there, like, yeah, he gets a pint too, and sips on it, and he like takes you to like a side room, which is the kitchen / larder, and like gets out some like cuts of pork, and like shoves the plate towards you.
Thank you.
So, how do you know the man you came in with?
Cameron? Well, he's been We've been travelling together for months.
Where did you say we're coming from again?
Oh, we've been travelling. We've been travelling all up around in the north, in the domain of Lord Beric.
Yeah. Right. The man standing out there. Cameron Redwin, you say?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. From these parts, it's Bishop Redwin.
I like to think that as that happens, like as Cameron's looking at it, you'll see like glow of his head just like come over the door a minute.
And Bishop Redwin hasn't been anywhere with you.
Sorry, forgive me, I forget. Cameron told us about his like potential evil twin problem, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did last time.
Yeah.
We're at the
I had to before we agreed to come here. I felt compelled to tell you that this would be a thing.
Yeah.
Now I can understand your confusion, General, but you see, Cameron has an identical twin brother.
He looks at you like, "Don't feed me this horse shit."
Listen, you know I'm an oath swearer, Jondrel, and I don't stand for any deceit. I swear to you, I'm telling you the truth. He has a twin who he is estranged from, who is probably this bishop that you were talking about. I can assure you that the man out there has been travelling around the northern realms with me for at least the last few months. He has not been here.
Okay.
And I will tell you, and I tell you truthfully, that he was most reticent to come here because he has no connections or love for his brother.
Okay. Well, that is a stroke of fate, isn't it? What? First order of business. And he goes like there's maybe like a cook in the corner. Grabs the hat off the cook and hands it to you. It's like, you go out there, you put this on your boy, and you pull on his hood and put up the scars, whatever he's got, because we're not gonna mistake him now for this brother of his that is here and has been here for this time. There's no way I'm going to go and explain why Bishop Redwin was in my establishment.
Let me ask you a quick question, because I've never encountered this bishop that you speak of, John. Does he have any markings on his face or any identifying features like scars?
Yeah. There's the fuck. I'm not with the fucking humans and their burning fires outside.
No, of course not.
For no reason.
No, of course not.
I don't know what they would call it, because I don't go to those meetings.
Okay.
Because I never do.
Okay, I'll go and put the hat on him. Hold on a second, and I'll come walking back out, and I'll say,
Look, it needs to be a room with either the sun catching
Cameron!
the horizon,
Cameron!
or the happy nature nearby.
Cameron!
Yeah, I'll come and drink in a minute, Glavy.
No, it's more important than that.
More important than Tyrell's bed moments? Okay.
Oh, definitely.
So is it the corner suit then?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes, that'll do. As long as it's got a nice window, it's important.
Very well.
Thick walls. He sings a lot. Okay, Glavy? What seems to be the problem?
Well, Cameron, you know your sibling that's located here, or should I say Bishop Redwin, as I've just found out?
Oh no.
Oh yes.
You hear from behind. Gloria's like, put the fucking hat on.
I'll just put the hat on him.
Okay,
Keep that on your bonds.
Okay.
It's like a floppy hat.
Now listen, everyone here, because obviously most of my people don't have any truck with all that flaming nonsense.
That's why I suggested this would be a better place. For
Indeed.
us to
However, I think it's fair to say they're a little bit on edge, given your virtually identical appearance to the man who is all about that flame.
Did they tell you what he's been doing? And if they're
No, my people don't have any trouble with that. They don't know the ins and outs of it. But obviously they don't want you to be mistaken for him. So that's why I put that hat on your bonds. And I suggest you try and mask your appearance. Now, I'm going to do something, Cameron, just to make sure that we don't mistake you for this bishop.
You're not going to hit me, are you?
And I'm afraid it's going to be a little bit sore.
Tyrell already warned me. Like,
basically, my plan is I'm going to look around. Like, I assume there's like an equivalent of like an ashtray or something where someone's been docking out their pipes and whatnot. What my plan is I'm basically going to get like a little dagger, just cut like a very shallow like line down his cheek. Then I'm going to like rub a bit of ash into it so it leaves like a scar down there. Then, because the ash will cause it to scar, which then means we shouldn't be in danger of like misidentifying as a bishop, because the bishop probably doesn't have a big scar down his face. But I'm going to do it as quickly as I can so that just let me rub it in there. Stop being such a baby. And then I'm basically going to like shove like a mug of like dwarven ale like off in his mouth and be like, while I'm rubbing the action, get that down you. That'll take the pain away.
Love it. what have you done?
Stop spitting it everywhere. Go and get it. It's good for you. Go on. It's like liquid bread. Get it down you.
While I appreciate that stings. I appreciate what you're doing. This is not going to stop Bishop Redwind. He could easily copy this facade.
You're right. He could do. However, until he learns of your presence here, which will hopefully won't happen. Hopefully, touchstone that it won't happen. We're going to. If we should be in any doubt of who we are speaking to, we'll be able to identify you. And also, the fact that you're not dressed like a fucking bishop is a good clue.
That helps.
But until, let's hope it doesn't happen, until your other half, your sibling, whatever you want to call him, finds out about this, and should he choose to imitate you, hopefully this will at least mark you out. And as long as you keep your appearance somewhat veiled while you're in here, you should be all right.
Would your friend be willing to tell me more about what's been happening in the city?
I don't think John Drill knows a great deal more about the general goings on, to be honest. I think he pretty much stays to himself.
Well, that's, in a way, that is good.
That's why he called me over, because initially he mistook you for this bishop, and he was like, I don't know what's going on with him, but I don't want any of it. I've kept out of it. And I'll sort of gesture John Drill over now. We've like tried to disguise Cameron a little bit.
He's coming over plainly cautious, and he's picked up a meat cleaver from the kitchen, sort of on the down low. It's like, I'm just carrying this wrong.
Does Cameron have like a beard or a moustache or anything?
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? If you look at his actual picture, John, he actually already has a sweet scar, which I've just given him another one. He's actually clean shaven with that kind of.
In which case, I would suggest that you grow a beard as soon as possible, Mr. Redwick.
You've been telling me that for months.
Well, yes. I think you'd suit a beard. I mean, what's wrong with having a long, lustrous beard?
I think it might make me look more sinister, though.
I tell you what it will do. It'll make you look less like the bishop, and that's good enough for me.
What if he currently has a beard?
John Drog, does the bishop have a beard?
I don't. I'm not his barber, but I think not.
Well, that's good enough. We'll put it this way, Cameron. Grow a beard, and if we find out the bishop has one, you can quickly shave it off. How's
Fair
that?
enough.
I know it's not anything you can do immediately, but get on it, man.
And drink some of this. It'll put
drink some of this and put hairs on your tongue.
I will offer my hand to shake this kind of slightly nervous dwarf if he's.
Yeah, and he's got in your view, like he's making a point of now showing it to you. Like he's going to shake your hand with the cleaver in the other hand. It's like,
I understand.
Yes, this is what we're doing now.
Cameron Redwind, Dark Watcher. Okay.
Well, Jondril, astounded.
That's understandable. I did inform Galavia that I may get a frosty reception in this city, but we have business here, so.
Oh no,
And
they're big on the old flame as well as frost, I suppose.
fair point.
So
If my presence here will cause your establishment any duress, I'm happy to go elsewhere if that is a problem. I do not wish to bring any consequences upon you from my other half.
and I think that's probably where we cut off to.
Oh, it's gonna kick me out.
And yeah, you've gone to a stone warehouse with Thrallin and some of the sort of, I suppose they've got like a couple of donkeys or something carry some of the stuff, and you've gone to the warehouse. There's a whole bunch of sentries outside. You can see there's a couple inside as well as you go in, helping Thrallin and his folks take this stuff in. You're introduced to these Paymasters, as we've mentioned before, Anaver and Brelwas. I'll put that in the chat once
Thank you.
again. And yeah, so they're dressed like, in fairly ordinary garb. They've got maybe a tabard each with a flame motif on it, but they're not dressed like priests or anything. And
so rank and file then.
Yeah, probably not priests, you think.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple sentries inside as well. There's crates. It's a warehouse, right? So there's crates, there's sacks, and there's a table that is used now for laying out what they've brought in to figure out how much they need to get paid. And yeah, that's what's happening. It takes a bit because they're going through each individual item and not really haggling over most things. Like it's only the like, oh, this one has like a jewel on it, so this one we're gonna actually talk about. But these knives, like just they're like 5 each or whatever.
Right.
So it's like a whole process now to go like.
Does it
make an inventory.
appear like this warehouse is where they're storing these items, or does it seem more of like a temporary operation where they move the items onward? I mean,
it would be a weird place to store things if you thought they were of great sort of at least aesthetic value, because it's a little bit of both, you think, but you come to the conclusion that if they had very valuable stuff, they might keep it here for a bit, but it's probably going to be claimed by someone or put on display somewhere.
Right. Okay. Keep that information for later. So yeah, I'll wait until Anavar and Relos is available to speak with me.
Yeah. So
I'll wait patiently. My hood is still up, however.
So they conclude their business and shake hands on it. Thrallin gives you a nod and says, well, fair weather to you as well. I suppose we'll be seeing you about.
Thank you.
And now we're going to get proper tanked, if you don't mind.
Enjoy. Now, remind me, did we all provide to Thrallin and his companions our actual names?
I forget.
And anyone want to remind me?
What's the sort of?
Yeah, so the consensus is that we use our real names. Okay, I want to stick to the same story. I don't want anyone to have to double check me. Yeah, so I'll introduce myself to Anabar and Belas. I will remove my hood.
Yeah, there's a big
clearly elven ears. Yes, I had the good fortune of encountering Master Thrallin and his band along the roadside. And of course, while they are experts in their craft of recovering items, they do seem to have a lesser knowledge about the objects themselves. And as my kind do not often travel beyond our own borders, I thought, well, perhaps in Riathal and these masters Anavar and Brewas would love to perhaps talk with someone who could lend an expert eye, perhaps, upon their collection. So I came to offer my services as such.
All right. Peculiar.
Tyrell is my name.
Tyrell, wonderful. We don't really get a lot of the fair folk around these parts.
Yes, we don't travel very far from our own lands normally, but occasionally we get the wanderlust.
Well, I think probably there would be, like, they're sort of talking to each other. There's like, I think there could be probably, we could find like a scribe, and we could, gather up some, if you have anecdotes about things, we're probably very interested in hearing some of the if you have context to provide for certain objects, or
I absolutely would love a chance to speak more of our own culture. It's very rare that we have an opportunity to refine some of our own lost heritage. So, is this facility where you store such valuable items, though? It seems to be.
No,
I mean,
for the most part, yeah.
Well, and you're sure of your security, because I don't mean to pry into your affairs, but you have to understand, for us, our cultural heritage is quite significant, important, as you can understand, potentially, given your own history.
And there's, all these good people here, honest, hardworking, faithful folks. They keep a good eye on everything that's brought in, and we pay an honest coin for it as well. I think there's none in Riathil that would seek to purloin any of your cultural relics.
Would you mind perhaps maybe a brief tour of your lovely facility?
Please, let's.
And we can talk as we explore.
Please, let's play a game. Let's give us a roll for this.
Okay. What would you like me to roll, sir?
Yeah, but no. What are you doing? What are you doing? It sounds like persuade.
I would like a tour. I'd like a chance to see more of the facility, to get more information out of them, if possible. I'm essentially trying to chat them up, get a sense of who they are, what they're about, what might actually be here, if this is the place I need to hit, or if I need to worry about some reliquary or private collection that might have the real juicy stuff. So yeah, really it's information, I suppose, is what we're looking for. So however I have to get that, either observationally or persuasively.
I think probably the medium here, being that you're talking to these people, would be persuade.
Sure. Oh, and I'm like one dot away from having it proper on my sheet too. So this
that's
so all right. Well, let's try it. And I will say I want to succeed on this, so I'll probably dump some persona into it. What's the obstacle that you want me to?
Is 3.
Okay. Fair enough. Is there a limit on how much persona you can spend in a single roll?
3.
Okay. I'm not going to dump 3, but I might dump. I kind of want this to go off, so I might dump 2 into it just to kind of pad that a bit. So it's a difficulty of 3, but it'll go to a 6.
Now let's not Cameron this. Well, we didn't Cameron this, but
but there are 6s in there. Okay, cool.
Yep, couple 6s.
I'm gonna re-roll that then. 1 second. One more.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well,
all right.
And you can put put the Artha expenditure, so the 2
Yeah, I
persona
will.
and the 1 it goes into will. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Let's see here. Actually, I'm building up that will quite nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, you get the you get a brief tour. They've got a lot of stuff stored in here. This is clearly a storage of a kind, as well. They've got.
Oh, and I get the persuasion on my sheet now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
So yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of objects. They've got some weaponry. There's a lot of just household stuff. They've managed
all
to,
elven.
Yeah, it's all elven.
Okay.
And you don't recognize some of the styles at all. They're reminiscent, of course, but you don't actually realize like this is elven, but I don't know which place would have made them like this, because they're old, as you already knew. That the place was a couple of ages past. You get the tour, and not much else really. It's fairly common stuff around here. Nothing that piques your interest. So what you get
nothing
from,
really stands out.
Yeah, what you get from the tour is that this is where we keep the stuff that we've paid for, haven't found a place for yet. And that happens when some of the higher ups in the Covenant come around and they've got a new place to decorate, or if the good bishop, he picks sort of some of the choice pieces for his own quarters. And it's the curator here / paymaster is very excited to tell you that the sort of crown jewel, makes like a joke, the crown jewel of the collection currently is actually a circlet that the bishop has taken a liking to and wears in public. It has a sort of fiery opal, the paymaster thinks, set into the circlet, and it is quite the piece of very fine elven silversmithing.
Well, our diadems have the rage of fashions for millennia.
Truly, and we are delighted that we have been able to provide the bishop with this piece, and it is only fair because it is, after all, the bishop who has initiated this great drive towards.
Oh, he's your patron. And your bishop. What is his name? I am, of course, only recently arrived to your fair city. So this bishop sounds like he is perhaps one of your leaders or spiritual guides.
Oh, yes. The bishop is one of the few bishops working directly with the hierarch herself. And they both do like a hand gesture of presumably piety. Bishop Redwin, as he was known before ascension to
a Redwin. Oh, I see. Understood.
Yes.
Very good.
Quite prominent to the extent where we kind of just call him the bishop, especially here because he is the one. He's the one with the great drive towards the study and recovery of our shared history. We're quite aware that your folk have amazing breadth of history that we do not understand, aside from maybe the Tower of Wisdom. But surely there are gaps even in those archives, which good bishop with the help of the good people of Riethel and beyond. For example, this dwarf here that you came in with, not a local, but has heeded the call to serve the future by recovering and understanding the past. And they are very worked up about this.
It's a very noble cause. Your fair bishop sounds as if he is a man who understands the importance of history and of cultural heritage. And of course, I understand that while your lives tend to be very brief, you have indeed lost much, and the chain of your own history has snapped many times. I would, of course, be happy to attempt to elucidate anything that I might perhaps be able to offer on the subject. However, perhaps maybe your bishop would be the person for me to speak with in that regard.
Well,
I'm sure he's a very busy man, of course. I would not want to be disrespectful to his time, but
yes,
it is very rare that, again, as you say, that one of my kind makes it to your fair riverside.
That is quite true. However, that would be a matter for someone else entirely, not for any lowly coin counters such as us here.
Perhaps maybe you could point me in the right direction.
Truly, we could not. I don't think so. Like they're just like it's not that they're being like snide or anything. They're just like looking at each other and like confounded.
Like, holy shit!
Are you kidding me? Like I don't have a hotline to the priest.
Right. Yeah. Well, that is neither here nor there, gentlemen. I appreciate the courtesy and, of course, your hospitality and, of course, the information you've given me. You have given me much to think on, and perhaps, maybe in the next several days, we can arrange to have another meeting, perhaps with the scribe that you would like, and we can perhaps discuss some of your items.
Surely. Absolutely. I think the Tower of Wisdom could benefit from your wisdom, added to its own. And by all means, you must have, you're just arrived, you must be busy, looking to relax and all that. Please enjoy the warmth of Riethel. I
will. Actually, there is one thing you may be able to direct me to, given your association with our fair Thrallin. There is a dwarf in this city who I have heard makes spectacular dwarven ale, and while myself I prefer something of the winter, I do like to think of myself as a minor connoisseur of the dwarven ale. I believe his name was Drondrell.
One is what you needed. So they do say that there is a dwarven brewer of some repute in over yonder corner of the city.
All right.
Over yonder. whether or not the brew deserves the fame, such as we wouldn't know, of course. Naturally.
Well, perhaps I'll experience it for myself.
Perhaps you will.
Gentlemen, thank you. I shall bid you a good day. And I will depart. And I will actually head to the Dwarven District instead of heading back to the dock as we had prearranged, given that I know the way. So,
and as you walk, you do know, because you're sort of, you don't know the route exact, you know where you're going.
Sure, but,
so you're taking the big roads to begin with.
Yeah, we're taking on the main fare through. Yeah.
Whereas Cameron knows the quicker route there, and took the smaller alleys and whatnot. So as you walk, you do see.
I'll put my hood up again as I go. Of course.
there's a couple of doors and maybe like a notice board kind of deal, like where people can pin stuff with nails on a board, and a couple of doors of apparently like public establishments of some kind. You see these inscribed, fairly elaborate pieces of parchment that are, to our modern eyes, this seems to be like an event poster. So there's like a design of art on it, and then the information bit itself. So there
So
is
like is it like silvered and filigreed?
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
like it's all
Yeah,
they've
it's-
thrown
yeah.
out all the stops for this basically.
Yeah, they sure did. And
Would it even be aesthetically pleasing to my? Or
wouldn't you know it? And also like that you pick up on this, like, well, this is kind of really good calligraphy, and they're putting the sort of silver ink, quote unquote, on it as well. Fancy that. And you read on, and it is a notice about something called the Grand Concert, and it's there's a lot of sort of flowery language. There's a flowery language around it, a sort of like it's a sales pitch, right, in the old style.
Okay,
and
well, consider me interested.
It speaks about a grand aria of sort of the mystery of winter as it is approaching. Like they speak to you as a seasonal viewer, perhaps, of this entertainment.
Almost a solstice event in a way.
And the grand aria performed at, it lists like a venue. You presume it's like a place for this kind of thing,
Opera hall or whatever. Yeah.
And it is of the mystery of winter, the dark period of the year, lit by not only the first flame, but also other more mysterious lights, perhaps, of varying origins. And you can see all the imagery that goes along with this. There's the three moons. There's a sort of wintry landscape-ish. Like a lot can't be made with.
Yeah, I'm picturing it in my mind.
There's you can see a couple of tree shapes that are meant to be there. Maybe there's like a wolf, like crouching somewhere, and it evokes like this winter night mystery. And it's the Mysterious Aria has been composed by commission from the Covenant of the First Flame, and it has been undertaken by esteemed master from the West, Deleon, the half-elven. And you can remember this guy.
I was going to say, does the name strike me as familiar? Because we don't have too many half-elvens floating around lately.
No, and it's been a while since you've heard this name, because Deleon left. He hasn't been in. He hasn't been in the West in some time, in fact. He is a composer and a sort of multi-instrumentalist. He's one of these sort of artistic sort of
prodigy.
He is all about the art and craft of creating music and song, whatever the instruments, and apparently putting on plays as well, because it has an element of that as well.
Full production, of course,
And this
I was going to say in my mind, I'm saying to myself, I was going to say that this was very reminiscent of the Tale of the Winter Queen, but why would Master Deleon be writing and performing for the church? That is very odd indeed.
And for our context here as well, our half-elf is basically the Tolkien half-elf for a lot of our purposes here. So Deleon is an elf that has, and Tyrell knows this, Deleon has chosen...
He chose to be with us, right?
Able to permanently die when he dies. That's his choice. And
okay.
And that plays into, like, he's not going to the chorus when he dies.
No, he's chosen his human heritage versus the elven heritage.
He is going to go to lands beyond when he dies instead of joining the chorus once again. And
now, but he is, of course, long-lived as the half-elven. Even those who choose to go So he's been around for a while.
Yeah,
obviously.
he is an elf for like the majority of our purposes here, but his ultimate fate is going to be immortal. He's going to the unknown when he dies, and that you seem to recall that was probably one of the things that caused him to originally leave the sort of elven lands.
Yeah, I mean, I would remember the event with a quite amount of sadness. Many people, especially those who were fans of his work, were saddened to see him go. Of course, we understood the pain of the half-elven is magnified 100-fold by the fact that they, of course, will not join us. They will go into an unknown. So their grief, their fear is immeasurable, and it's hard to live with amongst the immortals. So, but why is he here, and why is he performing for the church? I mean,
and it's sort of like telling
our stories as well.
Yeah, and it seems to be like an open invitation. It doesn't list. You look for prices.
Can I take one of these? Is it like something I can pull off the board?
You could take it. It's.
I'm going to take it.
You can take it.
I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it with me.
Yeah.
And I'm lost in my thoughts as I still, of course, keeping my attention because I'm always assessing for trouble, and I'm allowing, I'm moving towards the Dwarven district, but I'm just pondering in my head the happens chance to meet not only another even half-elven member of our kind, but still, we can at least Terrail and his people consider him to be one of ours. We're a little less on the borders. We're a little less funny about that sort of stuff, despite my authorical heritage. But
it was probably in the sort of courts of the High King where he was
some of the courtiers and everything, despite his talent and his prowess. And I mean,
it's always this like, that was fantastic.
We're judgmental like that sometimes.
Like, that was fantastic. Even for a half elf, and it's like eventually,
right? Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't have flown like that in our court, but in some of the other ones, the deeper into our homelands, for sure. So it's he understands it. Although, of course, he's one of the people who I'm one of the people who, of course, was saddened by his departure. But the fact that he's here, the happens chance that I would come to Riathal when he happens to be throwing on this magnificent aria. And after my experience at the pool as well, I keep thinking that although I don't quite believe in fate in the same way that Glarvir does, I do believe that we are all guided by by the stars. We're all guided by the ephemeral forces that bind us all together like strings. So I think tonight, before I rest, I will have to consult the sky and see what I can see, because this is all too real. Dillion's here. The doppelganger is a bishop, and he has the one item that I know for sure is probably an item of power. So it's all sort of. So me and Glarvy are going to have a conversation, and this is all I'm thinking about as I'm walking back and trying to get to this inn or brewery where I was directed to. So
brewery / inn.
yeah. So that's all my thoughts as I'm proceeding though to it.
So eventually you do arrive, and unless Glover and Cameron you've left, you can rendezvous at the guild, as it were.
Indeed.
So
my fellows.
And Glover, if you wanted to get a little bit tipsy, the brew is right here.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I'm hoping to have bartered for like a replenishment of my my dwarven ale, like mini keg that I've depleted.
Okay, that's interesting. Because that is of greater value than most on the inventory here. So let's see.
I'm basically, if it comes down to it, I'll be like, look, I can actually brew it myself. I just need access to the equipment to do so. And if you're willing to let me use your equipment, maybe I brew a little bit extra that could go to you. You know, it's like payment for it. Now, I know you can brew your own, of course, but obviously you're busy. So if I was going to be brewing it anyway, a nice little bit extra for yourself as recompense.
So let's make a deal.
No.
Next summer, you come around. We put it in the cask, and the following heart of winter, we're going to break it open, and we're going to talk about the old days. How about that for a cask right now?
Sounds good. And
yeah. So he puts out a hand
shake his hand.
Shake on it.
Whilst I'm here as well, you recall me saying that we've been travelling up north in the realm of Lord Beric. He's really quite a surprising human. Can actually handle his dwarven ale. Now, Lord Beric's a bit of an up and coming power in the north, shall we say? And well, like I say, he appreciates the finer things in life, i.e., dwarven ale. But obviously, it's hard to get there because he doesn't have a renowned dwarven brewmaster on staff. Now, if someone were to have those talents and want to make themselves very comfortable and have a very well-off mercantile patron who wasn't going to impose too many strictures or anything like that on them, I think a person with your illustrious talents could make a very good living there, free of all this bureaucracy and whatnot in these human cities. The North's a bit more raw, a bit more real than all of this tomfoolery around here. No guilds to tell you what to do. No vast bureaucracy. You know, as long as the Lord's getting a bit of the old good stuff every now and again, I'm sure he'd pretty much leave you to your own devices.
This sounds like an excellent time to roll Persuade.
Indeed.
On your boy Jondril.
Indeed, and I've already shaken hands with him.
Yeah, you have. On his prompt as well.
Indeed. And I'm hoping I can use my additional rep amongst dwarves.
So reputations are for circles.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So +1. And obviously I am oddly likeable. I can't actually remember if that gives me anything.
I think that's a.
I've got
I forget which life path it was, but I think it's a character trait.
I've got the page number. I'll just check. I don't think it gives me anything. Oh, oddly likeable. There's just something about him that's charming and likeable. No, it doesn't give me anything. Right, so I'm looking at +1. Skills. Let's see, skills. Yeah, I would like to go in my course persuasion, because obviously we're getting drunk, we're shaking hands, we're clapping each other on the back.
It's you can roll for that. However, the open hand doesn't apply there. The open hand applies to the specific ones, which are persuasion and etiquette. Yes. So course persuasion is the dwarven version of persuade, where you're like,
yeah, I'll sacrifice the 1 dice and I'll go for that. I'm gonna see how many persona I've got. Only 1. Yeah, I'll dump it in 1. What are the chances I'm going to need persona in this evil doppelganger infested city?
What are the chances we're going to run into a bishop that we need to sort out?
Yeah. Okay. So course persuasion. I don't think I can fork anything in. Unless, given all the talk of beer, I can fork in my beer-wise.
Yeah, you can, because you're selling him the position of Brewster up there. Yeah.
Okay, so 1 dice for that, 1 dice for Arthur. What's the obstacle?
So I guess because he is the entire point why he's here is that he's willful, because he's like like stuff your rules, guild.
That's why I'm trying to persuade him. I'm like, oh, you're in a city. There's loads of rules here. In the savage north, there's like none of that, son. It's just a lord who wants some booze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think he's gonna be, because like 3 is my baseline, so he's gonna be a 4 because that's the reason why he is here to begin with, because he's his own guide.
Oh,
Oof, 3 1s. Oof, that's rough. Okay, so he seems amenable. He's like, right, well, but it's going to be. So your boy isn't a king yet.
No, as I say, he's a lord. He's got a lot of position. He's got his finger on the pulse of mercantile interests in the north, so he's pretty well off. He's pretty well established, but he's an up and comer. It's more of an opportunity to get in on the ground floor, rather than trying to force your way into an establishment.
Exactly, and I think, given all the givens, your boy isn't a king yet. When he's going to be king, royal brewmaster.
Yes.
Let's make it happen.
And like you say, obviously once he does become king, he's going to look very kindly on the people who were backing him on the way up.
Oh yeah, I know how corruption works. Yes, that's kind of why I left. And he's clapping you on the back as well.
Yeah, but I'm jabbing him in the ribs and a friend of mine. But no, I'm not talking about corruption. You're just greasing the wheels a little. One hand washes the other, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But as I say, he's one of the few humans I've come across who has a true appreciation of dwarven alecraft. You don't see many of those about with the strength of character to drink a good, hearty, true drink like dwarven ale.
Well, he hasn't drank mine yet, so we'll see about that.
Not these city fops with their sparkling wine and their hoppy ales and their whatever the fantasy equivalent of lagers is, and their meads.
Right. Well, that's all fine and good, but I suppose this is all way down the line.
Oh, of course, I just wanted to give you the word as soon as I possibly could.
Right. So when we get the chance, when your boy gets the crown, when we get to moving up there, I suppose, unless he's coming down here, I don't know what his plan is, but when he does, when we get there to a point where we're talking over the same table, I want you there, and we're gonna talk to your boy.
At this point, I'd like to reach back into and call upon a forgotten NPC. Is the rat-faced seneschal still with us?
Yeah, and he has made himself. He's very proficient at being inconspicuous. Yeah. It is indeed one of the skills that he has, and he's quite proficient.
My basic, obviously, I know I failed the role, so I'm not going to have him sign another line. But my basic plan.
This is the thing. You're failing, but he's signing up. But he wants you to help him acquire the position of actual royal brewmaster.
Yeah, I've agreed with that, and I'm gonna get the seneschal in, like Berwick seneschal in, and I'm basically gonna go through like asking him questions like, "Oh, could you confirm for my colleague here that you were given orders by Lord Berwick to help cement relations between humans and dwarves?"
That is true. That is true. And drink has a way of unifying people. It is the great glue, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'm basically just going to ask a few more questions like that, with the idea of like getting him to like back up what I'm saying, so it's not just me being like, "Yes, Berwick's amazing. He loves dwarven beer," and like we've actually got one of Berwick's people. I'll obviously explain he's Berwick's seneschal. He's like second in command. He like speaks with the voice of Berwick. And I'll get him to relate. Berwick loves his dwarven ale. Like he's got an appreciation of dwarf, just to back up my argument, basically.
Yeah, and he does play along. He does take you aside though, for a bit. I suppose because this was before I think we had the big rendezvous. Because presumably Tyrell is going to have words because he's coming in with the pamphlet and his info. But this is like before, and now Tyrell is coming in, and Oster
I'll come in as soon as this conversation is over, and
get
with
in
grand fanfare, of course, because gotta make an entrance.
Guys, we're getting the band back together.
Yeah, Oster is taking you to the side a bit as you're done talking with Jondrel, and he's like, "Are we going to pick up every stray we come across, or do you have a plan?"
No.
If you do, I need to know it.
I'm just doing my best, as Lord Beric wished, to sow the seeds of a potential fruitful future relationship between my people and your people. Obviously, you'll see my people en masse when we get to the fort, but there are many of us dotted throughout human lands who have more experience of working in harmony with humans. So it seems to me that they would be an ideal first step because they are already familiar with your people, whereas some of those who live in more of the dwarven fastnesses may not be quite as familiar with the ways of your people.
Yes, and for the drink alone, this is a wise choice.
Indeed.
Well done.
Well, it's my belief, as you said, spoke so eloquently about drink being something that we all share of all races. And as I said, my admiration for your lord has only grown given his appreciation of the fineries.
You don't need to talk him up in my presence.
No. I don't exaggerate. I'm simply telling you that he is the only human I have met who has an appreciation, in my long life, who has an appreciation befitting, as far as I'm concerned, dwarven ale. And I believe to facilitate the growth of the friendship between our people, it is my responsibility, my duty, for I swore to help out in this regard, that I should ensure he is able to continue enjoying one of the fine things that my people are known for.
Right. Drink for the king.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, he doesn't. And you as you note that he doesn't, cheers or anything, you don't know that he's taken a drink at all. Really.
That's fine. The way I sort of envision him, he's like Lord Beric, gets tanked and makes his proclamations, and Oster's the one who actually has to think, how are we going to make this work? So no wonder he doesn't drink. I don't really get it, because obviously us dwarves can multitask, we can drink and do stuff. I understand humans can't really, but I can sort of admire the fact that he's set aside his own enjoyment for the good of Lord Beric's fife, or whatever these humans call it.
Good of the kingdom.
Indeed.
So anyway, the doors open, and Tyrell glides in, and it's not very hard to notice because Glarvir is obnoxiously loud. You can immediately tell where he is, and you can spot
that is a scandalous lie.
The rat-faced Oster is leaned in on some whispery conversation with him. The Glarvir is not whispering back to him. And you can see a Cameron probably in a floppy hat.
I will saunter over to Cameron. I will pull him to a table in a shadowed corner.
How was your first day in the City of Bridges?
Oh, enlightening. So enlightening. I don't know where to begin. I'm so enlightened.
It's been very educational here in the Dwarven
So,
shadow of this.
your shall we say, counterpart is the bishop of this fair city.
Yeah, I know.
And you're going to, of course, appreciate the humor in this more so than I. And he is in possession of the diadem.
The one we were looking for?
The one item that I suspect is of actual significance. Yes, of course.
I do have excellent taste, it would seem.
And he wears it upon his head for public events.
Does this give you any better idea of what its capabilities are?
Unfortunately, the gentleman who had originally procured the item and then sold it to your counterpart were less than knowledgeable on the subject. I would have to have it in my hands.
Do you still wish to pursue this object of power?
Of course I do. I especially do not want it in the hands of some potentially demonic spirit from the great unknown.
I never said it was a demonic.
I would not like to chance it. So, that was the first thing that I encountered that was of interest. Oh, of course there's more. There's so much more. And at that point, I will pull out from within my cloak and coat the invitation to the Aria, and I shall present it.
Am I supposed
Behold.
to?
Yep. So
you can read your own language, can you not?
Well, I can. I just don't understand what is. What does this have to do with?
You're so uncultured. It literally hurts my immortal soul.
I spent years
as I sit here
reading books that were older than me, Tyrell.
Watching you fail to understand the significance of, especially of, and I point to the name Delian, of this name here.
Is this some kind of actor?
No, oh my dear Lord. Acting is but one of his passing fancies. What he is truly known for is his singing, his instrumentation, his composition. Pretty much anything having to do with music. He's a prodigy of our kind.
You want to go
and
to the theater?
Considering
we can do that while we're here if we keep our heads low.
Oh, we're going to do that while we're here. And what would you like to bet? What would you care to wager me that your counterpart would attend this aria? A very public event from a master composer from farther west, from Elven lands?
I thought the idea was for me to avoid my my other half.
Well, we need to secure this diadem, and we will know that he will be wearing it to this event because it will be a very public showing.
Okay, how do you propose we get it off?
Well, the details.
I like
That's
to think,
the easy part in my mind.
I like to think as Tyrell's like, oh, you're so uncultured, it hurts my soul. Like in the background, like Glavia and John Drull have like been drinking quite heavily. Start singing like a rude ditty called "There Was a Young Dwarf from Cascarad."
Oh no, not the young dwarf from Cascarad. Do you know how many times I heard him sing this bloody song from the road west to here? Do you know? Never mind. Let's stay focused on the matter at hand, Cameron. We're going to the opera, and this will be a chance for you to get some culture.
Is this dealing on
we will commission for you a fine suit. I'm thinking, and I sort of look at him. I'm thinking, sort of a forest green with some axe. You see my eyes kind of like glimmer with light as I'm describing.
While you're doing that, could you just tell me, is this infected? Glavia just cut me earlier. I think he was trying to help, but he was also.
Oh, let me look. Come closer. And I'm going to smack him in the face.
Ah.
No, you look beautiful. You're fine.
Oh, that knocked a light.
Focus, my young friend. Focus. I know it's hard for you humans. Short attention spans, like gnats and all. I understand.
That smacked the flame out of me.
I shall hope so. Now, the aria, the opera. We're going to go, and we're going to encounter your counterpart. So perhaps, I'm thinking a mask. Over your fine features. We will, perhaps with a motif. Ooh, how about that fox motif you love so much? We can have it designed. We need a tailor. That's what we need. We need a tailor, and I need to do some recon. It's going to be very busy.
When is this?
But we're going to the opera.
When is this event?
This will be the most fun I've had since I've left home.
Yeah, Tyrell is positively giddy.
Yeah.
On the sort of advertisement parchment, you can see that it has been marked as being performed under the auspices of the risen hunter's moon, which is you both now are basically capable on a very basic level in astrology. You know that this particular it's one of the three moons that is supposed to rise as a particular hue of red, and as you pull your thoughts away from new clothes, you realize this is tomorrow night.
Oh wow!
We haven't got a lot of time.
We do not have much time. Well, I have to go make some preparations. I take one quick look at you. Yes, right. This cut. Yes, I have your measurements now. Yes, I shall return.
Tyrell,
Glavia, do you have anything? Do you have anything nicer to wear?
He stepped on a rock and got kicked in the what?
I said, do you have anything that makes you look less like a drunken swine?
No, why would I need any such thing?
I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. And I'm gonna dash out of the establishment. I'm actually going to literally like elephant speed. Just I'm out of there.
Yeah, 7 league step.
I got stuff to do. I got a recon at the opera house. I gotta get some clothes for everyone. I got stuff to do.
I turned to Glavia. I think one of his dark elf buddies is putting on a show. I don't. You left. I
did explain that it was a half elf, but perhaps you're confused, given everything I just threw at you.
Like what? What?
Talking like 100 miles an hour. It's like
why? I've concocted this plan. I'm done.
Sorry, what were you saying, Cameron, about Tyrell?
He was here a moment ago. Do you remember? He was.
Yes, he shouted at me, and then when I looked around, he'd gone.
He's gone to get us some finery, I believe.
Why?
He wants us to go to the theatre.
Ye gods, why would we want to do that?
You hear from outside the establishment, like almost like it's very far away, but I'm at the top of my voice. You hear it, but you hear it as a whisper. It's an opera.
I just imagine that you could talk quietly and it gets louder the further it goes. It's like elf magic.
That bloody elf shit. Yep.
Why on earth would we want to go to this opera or whatever it is?
He believes he's found.
Isn't that all singing and tomfoolery like that? Yeah. But I don't mean proper singing like the mug of ale. I mean like all sat there quietly and listening to some.
There might be
preening popinjay squawking out some horrendous dirge. Sorry, what?
There might be some drinking though.
No, well, yes, I bet it won't be proper ale though. It'll be wine or something like that.
Why don't you try and bring a small keg of some fine dwarven ale?
I sort of pat the keg I've got of John and I'm like, one step ahead of you, Cameron. One step ahead of you.
Naturally. He believes that my other half is going to be present and is currently wearing the circlet of the object he was interested in.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying at some point in time we're going to have to bash in your counterpart.
I would prefer not hostilities if possible. Blavia, I barely escaped with my life the first time.
Now, obviously I don't mean to tell you your business, Cameron. It's your evil twin, not mine. But
which you're going to do it anyway.
Well, it's for your own good. But all I.
Would you like you for some reason?
Well, you're only human. But just a joke. I didn't really mean it. But all I'm trying.
Tyrell did not get the joke about the guild either. He didn't seem to understand.
Well, of course he wouldn't. If the joke doesn't involve trees or fruit, he's not interested. But all I'm saying is, these are the facts of the case as I see them. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your twin is a bishop in the Church of the Flame.
It would seem. It would
which,
appear so.
which you are destined to be set against. He has
You-
a lot of power in this city. He is wearing the crown that we seek. Given his relationship with you, he is unlikely to simply hand it over to us.
That seems.
I cannot see how we would win the crown from him, given that he's wearing it via subterfuge. Therefore, it seems to me that almost fate has decreed that we will find ourselves in physical opposition to this evil, flamey bishop at some point.
This will draw some attention to us that we'd rather not have, Xavier. We are meant to be on a quest to obtain a different crown.
I tell you what we could do though. Maybe we've been looking at this all wrong. You know that your resemblance to Bishop Flamewin was a downside. Perhaps he won't wear the diadem if he's going to the opera. Maybe he'll have a different outfit. Your people are always changing their clothes all the time.
Are you suggesting some form of subterfuge?
No, I'm not suggesting
How
any
much have you had to
deceit
drink?
or something like that. All I'm saying is if the bishop or someone who looked identical to him was to walk into a room where he'd left the diadem and say, "Oh, sorry, I forgot my diadem," put it on his bonce and walk out, that probably wouldn't raise many alarm bells.
True.
And it may avoid the conflict. No, obviously I wouldn't really be able to do much with that because deceit and things like that, they're not really my speciality. I like my operations like I like my dwarven drinking halls. Loud and smelling of sour ale.
Understood. It's possible we could do something like that, but I would have to go into the belly of the beast, for lack of a better term, to do that.
Indeed.
But
Now,
it's
the thing is, if you were doing that, now, obviously I'd be rubbish at it, but Tyrael can be pretty difficult to spot when he needs to be, so you perhaps needn't go in there alone. And obviously, although I wouldn't be any use directly, I could station myself nearby in case you gave the word, to come rushing in. After all, I've pledged that I will keep you safe from the Covenant while we're here in Rathiel.
And watch me stand in the ashes of the church.
Well, yes, that's more of an oath than just a normal swear. There's different levels of swear.
It's a dwarf thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, that's right. But
It's something to think about. We should.
and obviously,
discussing this.
you can't stand in the ashes of the Church of the Flame if I let you get killed in Rathiel.
Well,
so-
I feel
I
reassured
can't allow
that
it.
you're confident of your ability to do this. If we could get
Listen,
this thing,
if I can pull Tyrael out of a
I'm over here,
out
by
of
the
a
way.
s- if I can pull Tyrael, stop moving about. If I can pull Tyrael out of a slimy puddle and fight a monster off the top of him while he's midway through drowning, I'm sure I can pull you out of some bishop house or whatever you call it.
We should consider this in. I don't know what the military term is, but we're in enemy territory right now. We need to be.
That is the military term for enemy territory.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it's dwarven. A different thing for dwarves.
Well, yes. The dwarven way of saying enemy territory is different because it's in dwarven, but it means the same thing.
Yeah. It was like, like you had different tactics or something.
Well, what we do, but all of my I was in the military for a time, but all of my dwarven tactics are based around me having like a phalanx of dwarven warriors behind me, which isn't likely to happen. Now, I'm not saying some of them can't be. I'm not saying some of them can't be adapted, but the dwarven tactics are solid and stable. We present ourselves like the very rock face in which we live, and the enemy break against us.
I certainly would appreciate some of those right now.
Well, as I say, if if you give the word, if you get in trouble, assuming we go ahead with all of this, if you give the word, then I would be
don't think
happy.
we could stop Tyrell.
I would be happy to rush to your rescue. I suggest we go for something subtle of the word, like, "Oh my God, the bishop's killing me. I'm being strangled by my own face." Something like that.
It's like looking into a dark mirror.
That's it. That's slowly choking the life out of me. But no, don't worry about it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
I appreciate that your friend is letting us stay here.
Well, that's fine. It's his business. You know, we're paying our way. I'd agreed come the next summer season to come back here and give him a hand and crack open a keg of dwarven nog with him, and talk about the good old days. And hopefully, I've set the stage for him eventually seeking employment with Lord Beric. But that's in the future.
You do understand, Glavier, that if things do not go according to plan, and they never do, in our experience, then some of the consequences could fall upon your friend here. You may want to consider accelerating his plans.
Well,
just a thought.
No, it's a very valid one, and obviously, given our involvement, if consequences were to fall on Jondrel, I would, of course, do everything within my power to help him out and see him re-established elsewhere. I mean, I've had him speak to Ostor, Beric's seneschal, and he's backed up what I said, and I'm sure, given Lord Beric's love of fine dwarven ale, that he would be overjoyed to have as renowned a brewmaster as Jondrel in his employ, and Jondrel, for his part, would enjoy the lack of strictures that are present in cities like these and places further to the south. Everything's a little more open to interpretation in the north. And the wild frontier of the north, where the wind blows cold, like the ale.
I hope.
You hear some drunken dwarves like on the next table over. It's like, here, and there's some like clanking of tankards.
And I'll sort of go forward to like whisper, but obviously it's really loud. I'll be like, and trust me, if you drink enough dwarven ale, the wind will blow cold.
Right. So looking at the time, we can probably start to wrap up here. So like Tyrell, like we'll revisit Tyrell's adventures next time.
Trip.
And
there shall be adventures.
And as we sort of pull away, there's that sort of cinematic thing where like the camera sort of spins around Cameron, and the noises of the drinking hall sort of like steadily drop in volume. They're still going on in the background, but very faint. And there's that voice again. It says,
"Ash and blood can't conceal you, Cameron. My gaze pierces flesh. I see you. Welcome home."
Take a little sip of I was taking a little sip of the drink, or Glavier is going.
Yeah, there's in the background. It's like,
let me tell you about the tale of King Axon Bucket. And I like to think as it pulls out in the credits roll, it's like the guild where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, it's a shitty 90s sitcom outro. Cool. That's where we end, I guess.
Thank you very much for running it. Very much enjoyed it.
Very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll end the stream here then.